right pronunciation of N. Because suppose for every alphabet, if we just cut this thing, then it becomes asan, that kind of thing, which you understand. But suppose if ma is like a Patanjalim, Patanjalim uses Patanjalim, Pranjalim. But if it has to be said as ma, then it will be Patanjali ma. But that is not the pronunciation of that M. M below, dot below, as we give, that itself means it is half ma. For every this thing we have half, then complete pronunciation, and then complete akaranta pronunciation, like ma, ma, ma. Okay? Now, this pronunciation, if it has to be said in Sanskrit, you don't cut the na as we cut asan, padmasan, shishasan. Then it has to be padmasana, shishasana. In reading process, if it has to go shishasana, sarvangasana, because na is complete there. Na is not half. Asan is not half. Na is not half. But it is not like English pronunciation complete asana, shishasana, sarvangasana, yoga. For example, it has happened. But you will laugh at it, but it is not wrong, because it's not yoga. Many times people, when they say, pronounce it as yoga, it's wrong. It's yoga. Yoga. But in process of talking in Sanskrit, it will be yoga. You understand? But when we speak it in English language, that means we use this word yoga in English language, and obviously to forcefully pronounce that ga, it becomes a. So yoga. But it's not yoga. You understand? It's not yoga. But that ga is not yoga. As often we pronounce karma yoga, jnana yoga, bhakti yoga, that is also, so it is wrong pronunciation, because that ga is also a little bit forceful. Yes. No, it is not. This is the right way, because it's in Marathi like that we do, but not in Sanskrit. And when it is not in Sanskrit done like that, then it will be yoga. It will be asana. In order to complete that, we say asanam, shishasanam, sarvangasanam, paschimottanasana. This is also one of the ways of to tell it. For each name you will say asanam. It becomes lengthy process, is the fact. You have to say asanam or asana, yoga. For example, even we say milk, doodh. It's not doodh. The has to come, doodh. That has to come. And because in the way process of speaking, we have made it doodh. Now it's dugdha. It's not dugdh. And North Indian may pronounce it like that. Doodh means milk. This milk word, dugdha, he may pronounce sometimes dugdh, but it's not dugdh, it's dugdha. That dha is complete. And in the similar manner, asana is complete. So asana, yoga. So that emphasis which has to come on the last, this thing has to be there. And to bring that emphasis, when you are explaining it, becomes yoga. And then it has become just yoga, because they cannot pronounce ga, ga, ga. For that ga, you have to open the mouth completely, ga. And normally that is not done. Now it's not Ram. Rama. Ramaha. Ramo. Ramaha. Rama. But when we are calling Ram, what do we say Ram? Hey Rama. If it comes in Sanskrit, this thing anywhere, like while reading Ramayana, if I have to read that, Rama. If I have to call Rama, Rama. Krishna, Krishna. is North Indian pronunciation. Krishna. Krishna. But it's not Krishna. It's Krishna. Rama. You understood the difference? So a little bit local language also has brought this change. That's why you find those who say the Sanskrit mantras, when you compare North India, middle of India, South India, that differs a lot. And that is the reason. So it is like that when it is asana, padmasana, shirshasana, or padmasanam, shirshāsanam, sarvangasanam. But it is not asan, where you cut the no. But it is not asana, where a above is diacritic. Then it becomes asana. There is no diacritic there. Asana ends with last a without diacritic. Otherwise, when it has to be completely a. Now padma, asana. Now padma is not padma. It's not padma. Padma means lotus. So when it becomes padma, it is padma, padmasan, padmasana. You understand? That is how it has to be said. But in process of saying this has, because of North Indian pronunciation, South Indian pronunciation of Sanskrit is differing, like English differs in America or England, etc. But it's not definitely a, not asana. Okay? So if it comes here that, as we say, Vishranta Karaka Asana. Even Namaskar, we say Namaskar. It's Namaskara. That is how it has to come. But now when in Marathi, if you are speaking in this way, you will laugh. You will say, what kind of pronunciation is this? Because we have in Marathi you have to say Namaskar. If I say Namaskara, immediately they think, oh, it's a South Indian. It seems she is a South Indian. But that is right way, Padma, not Padma. And North Indian will laugh at us. What is it, Padma? Padma. Padma. No, that differs. No, plural and this thing is completely different grammatical this thing. That is completely different. Because which will grammatically change while plural is different way of looking at it. That will be akaranta, akaranta, ikaranta, that will all differ. So we can... No, that is phule. Ekaranta. While talking we say phula. But phule. You understand? While writing you cannot write phula. I mean, they story type writing they do, but no, while correct Marathi has to be written, then you have to write phule. You cannot write phula. Okay. But Guruji pronounces yoga as a very correctly. He never says yoga. Whenever if you listen to his lecture, he says yoga. That ga he emphasizes there. While doing yoga, he says. He doesn't say while practicing yoga. Sometimes while talking it may come because we are accustomed to this kind of people, don't know that. But if you listen to his lectures there, he will say while practicing yoga, this is what happens, he says. Why we practice yoga, he says. When we practice yoga, he never says. You understand? That is the right pronunciation. While practicing yoga, not while practicing yoga. Practicing of yoga gives this effect. That's not the right way. Practicing of yoga brings this effect. That is how it has to be said. Understood? I don't know today's topic how it will be. What did you say? You have got those papers and you have got sequence as well there. The asanas are given in sequence if you have got the paper. Too strongly verbally in the head. I mean, verbal knowledge is required. I don't cross with it. But in teaching process, if you have to have a complete establishment with your students at that moment in teaching process, you cannot just think of the language. Because yesterday also when you pointed out that somebody doesn't know English. When I started, even I was not knowing English. Let me tell you. So the language is not the problem at all as such. Yes, language is problem when you have to teach a big mass outside. There you need to have some proper language to speak. But that language also will be developed by you as you begin to get the maturity in your teaching process. Once if you are very much sure inside, as Upanishad says that, let my mind be with my talk so that what I talk becomes more clear. That itself means that it is not the talk which is the first, the mind has to be with the organ of speech, because what organ of speech is going to produce has to be already conceived there in the heart to say this. You understand? If I have to say that, let me say the name of God, Rama, then it has to be already in my heart. It suddenly won't come just like that. You understand? Whether Rama, Lakshmana, Krishna, Allah or whatever it may be. Why? Because it has to be conceived first inside. Then the organ of speech speaks about it, whatever has been conceived inside. These days what has happened, because we have so much, the educational method is such that more it is on the talking process. Whereas yoga is such that you have to put it into the practice. It's a very practical method when you are transforming it to someone who is learning from you. Even Vedic chanting, if you see, there are 6 types of Vedic chanting. You find sometimes the previous word is pronounced and then again the same word, and next word again the previous word. In order to remember word by word the Vedas, that is what they did. And that is how the Ghanapatha came into the picture, that first previous word, then like suppose if it is a Setu Bandha Sarvangasana, then they will say Setu Bandha Sarvanga Asana. They are separate words. Okay, any sentence they may, any sutra or sloka they may take. Then it has to be Setu Bandha Sarvanga. Then Setu Bandha Sarvanga Asana. Sarvanga Asana. You understood? That means the words were so much fixed, like diamond fixing there, that no word will be lost, because they were not writing in those days. Everything was mouth to mouth, it was taught, and that's why when it was taught mouth to mouth, every word they were supposed to remember. And that is how the Vedas still you find, we have preserved it. Now it comes in a printing way, it is a different matter, but before that, when there was no printing, any printing as such was done, this was the way they were doing it. And whenever they were writing on tree leaves, etc., then it was with one person or two, very rarely. I mean, it was not house to house, just as you now find preliminary course in everybody's hand. You understand? It's a very rare in somebody's house it was preserved. It was not available just like that. They have to go, like for example, Ramanujacharya had to travel all the way to Kashmir to find out that he gets the Yajurveda part which he wanted, because it was available there. And he went there to see that he gets what he wants. So this was the condition. So when we come back to this, we have to know that it is not the question of that language as such. What I said this morning also and yesterday, what you do, you just tell. If you try to calculate inside in your mind that, oh, I must say this, I must say that, then there the calculation begins. Because then you have to just construct a kind of sentence for it. What you have to do is that, first, when you present yourself, you say, this is now asana I am doing. Trikonasana, Utthita Trikonasana, when you are presenting, you say, I stand like this, I do like this, or you just stand and say, you join your feet, you keep your legs straight, your back erect. They are not doing, but you are doing. In that doing process, what you are doing, you are just gathering at that time. And then perhaps, like when it comes to the knees, where you have to tighten the knees, or when you have to stretch the legs, or when you turn. Now what has happened, you all know that in Samasthiti, the thighs have been turned from outside in. Now this is a good, very nice knowledge about it, fixing something. Tadasana, wherever you do, whichever corner you do, outer thighs inside, as far as the front thighs are concerned, back of the thighs inside out, wherever you stand. You understand? So it is a rotation of the thighs which turns from back side to the side, from side to the front inside. Now this is the knowledge of that leg position in the asana you got. But what happens in the process of teaching, you remember it here in your brain, and you are not doing on your legs, and you are just explaining there. And that's why you are talking, your legs are not coordinating with it, and there all the explanation fails. You understand? In practicing process, what you need to do is this, that what you do exactly has to be understood. I told you that even when you stand on the platform, your expression of the asana or a part of that body in that asana, you have to express a bit loud, as an actor stands on the stage and speaks or expresses a bit with a loud expression. You understand? Because the face and this thing has to show right up to that end of this thing, that what has happened there. If he has to show the sorrow on his face or happiness on his face, he laughs little more than what he normally laughs at home. You understand? Because his muscles immediately has to express that smile or that laugh in that manner that it reaches up to the audience who is sitting at the last bench. In the similar manner, when you are expressing your stretch, saying that it should happen there on your body. If it is not happening, they are not seeing anything, and you are not exactly understanding what has to be done. For example, if you say turn your right leg out and left foot in, you may say it 3 times, but your right leg, right knee, right side doesn't turn. If it does not, it is not turning, for him who is seeing you will also feel that has turned this much only. What does he know? Depth of that action of turning. He doesn't know the depth of that action which you know. But if you don't do, he is not going to understand. And that's why when you are showing, that expression should be very clear to tell that if the root of the thigh doesn't turn, perhaps at that moment yours also might not have turned. When you have it not turned, when you know that theoretically that it should turn that much, because in Trikonasana you turn your right knee, right thigh, root of the thigh completely, isn't it? So you are supposed to explain that on your body to show that exactly what happens. If you say join your feet, join your toes, and if you are not doing, they are not going to do. Because you need to explain. If your knees are together and feet are not apart, then you have to say at least that yes, these inner edges of the knees turn like knock knees, but heel may not touch each other. If it is touching, fine, you tell that these heels, and then find out what is the difference between you and the person who is not touching the heels together, why the heels are not touching. That becomes an example for you to say that, yes, why those heels do not touch, because somewhere the knees are knocking on each other. Do you understand? When the knees knock, then the heels will not touch each other. So you have to know exactly what is happening there. And this kind of understanding has to come for you with your eyes to establish that contact. Then secondly, what happens, as I said, that if you remember just word by word the technique side, then you keep on saying that, and you don't watch the others what they are doing. How you have to train your eyes, how you have to train your organ of speech, this is what you have to understand. Your eyes have to be on them, half of the attention has to be on your body, half of attention is on them to see what you are doing, whether they are doing or not, and what you are explaining, whether it's happening on your body, and what you explain, is it happening on their body. Because it is on the other day, Sunday when I read, I told you that cut the techniques in short when they don't understand what you are saying, if you just go increasing the points. I think last year also when I took the teachers training, there also I mentioned this, that you remember some certain points and you just want to go repeatedly with that. This morning, if you had seen in the class which I took, when I took all the standing poses I took in that, but there was not extra explanation of anything, right? It was just point to point, but everybody did that because there was not too many things said. It was one action, this thing it went, and that also I had not to repeat it very often. Now what happens for you, when you don't get the next point, you repeat that same, okay? Because you are not remembering now what next has to be said. Like this morning, somebody just stopped in that final pose and not said anything. There the confusion comes for the students. They don't know what to do. You see, the mind is eager at that time to learn something, and they are, when you are just quiet, they immediately feel, is it wrong or right? This is the question arises in your mind also. If you are doing, and I am just quiet there, you are not sure whether what you are doing is right or wrong, and you want the answer, whether it is correct or incorrect. So at that time, as a teacher, you are supposed to find out that why you felt like this, whether what you did is correct or incorrect. You are a student, so and I am explaining as a teacher. But when you are doing there, you are at that time, suppose you are a teacher there, then you have to find out through your mind that when you are staying, what are you exactly doing? Are you just staying in the pose? They are not just staying in the pose. Still the inside, the adjustment might not be outside happening at all. And when adjustments do not happen from outside, something might be going wrong also. This morning when I said Snayu Vritti Nirodh is of that kind that if you don't pay attention, it turns any way it wants to. And that's how you, at the end you say pain, stiffness, hardness, etc. Blocking of the blood circulation, because you need to look into it. You may not jolt or shake your body. That's a different matter. It's not for the shakiness sake, you just shake your body and do something. But you do certainly there something. And that is what you do is that from inside some kind of space is created, some sort of extension is felt. You find after a long time the body coming to certain stage, and these are the things as a student, as a teacher, you have to observe while practicing yourself as a student, which you can convey to them. But if you are loose in your action, all the explanation will remain loose-ended. There is no connection. You understand? Suppose now we are just sitting like that. Stretch out your legs in Tadasana. I mean Dandasana. Stretch out your legs in Dandasana. Now you are just sitting there and you are listening to me. Okay? When you are listening to me, your mind will be on my talk, whatever I am explaining to you. But at that time, suppose 1 minute or 2 minutes when you stay, you begin to understand something is happening in the legs. You either make the movement of the toes or feet, one going forward, one going backward, one going away, one getting drop, etc. That means these are the things which are likely to happen to the student also if you are just quiet. You say Dandasana, sit down for 1 minute. If that is happening, then absolute a new student, what will be the case of his when he hasn't got any direction to his intelligence. The intelligence also needs some direction there to see that what has to be seen, what has to be done, what has to be felt. You understand? So in that your sensitivity has to come. That when you sit, suppose if I don't say anything, somewhere your spine drops. So which portion of the spine drops? Where it drops, if it has to be open, because now you learned. I told you in Dandasana, sit straight, sides of the trunk upward, that point as an objective point you remembered. But subjective point is such that when you are sitting and if your mind is off from the pose, suppose something happens on the street, suddenly your mind goes there. Suddenly you remember something, your mind goes off from there. Somebody calls you, mind goes off from there. Then what is the first disturbance occurs in that posture? If you understand that, then you are able to tell others also that what disturbances can occur. That's why when Guruji says Snayu Vritti Nirodh, it's not he is asking you to hold the Snayu in that manner. But if your mind goes off from that area, it can take any kind of tilt, any kind of jerk, any kind of jolts in any direction, and nature takes it in that manner. You understand? The nature takes, because suppose if your body has got a tendency, the right foot to get dropped down more and left is inside, then left will not be dropping but right will be soon dropping. If you have habit of sitting on one buttock, your body weight will shift on that buttock and the other buttock will be completely off. No, these are not the points. They are not technical points. You said both the buttocks down, both the sides equal, etc. when he said, that's why I came to that point. When you say equal, you make it very clear. Because you are also sitting, I am also sitting, I may say yes, I am equal. But if I sit like that, if I have to do pranayama or I have to sit in swastikasana to bend forward, this will not be my adjustment, because I am now talking. So you may not make out in which position I have sat. But if it is Adho-Mukha swastikasana I have to do, or turn to swastikasana, immediately your hand goes there. You understand? Because you may definitely feel that yes, something is tilting, something is going wrong. One knee might be forward, one knee might be back. You are tilting on this side, tilting on that side, and this is what first you need to look into it when you are teaching others. And that's why in practicing process is not just one after the other doing also, but you need a bit introversion there to find out that how you look into your pose. And in that sense the practice is required. The second way of practicing is required that you have to know technique wise each action that occurs, to go to Ardha Chandrasana, to Virabhadrasana or Shishasana. Now in the Shishasana, when I have kept given in the broken this thing here, is meant for that purpose. Because if you have to go with the Shishasana, so many things need to be explained to them, and before that you also do. Often if you just jump on your head, you know that you are not on the arms proper on your lower arms you have not put proper weight, you haven't lifted your shoulders, you just go because it's a habitual doing. And you cannot bring that habitual doing in them. And in habitual doing also, the other day when I explained, this was the reason that if you find a person who is good at the practice, going to the pose very directly, there is already a change which has occurred in the body. This is what on Friday evening pranayama class, because some of them were not there, because Guruji explained something. While I was teaching the pranayama, he just explained about how the mind comes to the stability with that inhalation exhalation process, which I explained in a different language. And then at the end of the class I said, look, the body also undergoes in this manner. There is a dharma, lakshana and avastha parinama. As there is for the consciousness, there is a nirodha parinama, there is a samadhi parinama, and there is ekagrata parinama. How you bring the attention over there, this is what I was explaining to them. Now when Guruji comes and does at once, the body undergoes that change so soon to go to that posture that it doesn't happen to each and every one. So we need to take that time to see that the body undergoes that change. If I have to do Paschimottanasana, suddenly you don't bend. You need to do some actions, some adjustments, some movements before you go to Paschimottanasana. Body doesn't suddenly bend, and even if you bend, you know that somewhere it is compared to the good Paschimottanasana, you will know that you do better Paschimottanasana than this if you adjust it properly. Otherwise you just bend. You understand? So the body has to undergo those changes to go to that asana. Now in technique process, this is what you are supposed to observe. You are not supposed to just go to the pose like Ardha Chandrasana, Virabhadrasana, etc. But very explanation and linking of the actions there are such that it takes you to that pose in a proper manner. Whether it is a turning of the foot, turning of the knee. Because what happened today, that you emphasize on certain points, because from this you learn, otherwise you don't learn. What you did, if you reflect on that, this is what Guruji at the end says, that when you teach, you go, after going home, you rethink about it, that what you taught, you reflect on that, what you taught, then you verify yourself whether what you taught was right, wrong, correct, incorrect, etc. Because this is what, suppose this morning when I immediately pointed out whether it was Ardha Chandrasana or Virabhadrasana, that don't take that long time for early steps, which have to be prepared earlier. So that already you are bringing the change in the body from Dharma Avastha to the Lakshana Avastha, because it has to go to Ardha Chandrasana or it has to go to Virabhadrasana. So when it has to occur in that manner, you already prepare in the earlier asanas while doing, or in the same asana when you are taking the steps. Those steps, I said that break the steps, you may go to the right side, put the right hand there, you may walk in with the feet, you may ask them to just shift the weight on that side, stop there, you go to the left side, teach on the left side. So the body undergoes a change by that time. And what is that kind of change? It's an intelligent change. It's not just the change, you understand? The intelligence there begins to inform the body that you behave in this manner, you do in this manner. And that is how the sequential instructions are given there, that you put the palm there, you may keep it cup shape, cup shape. If you think that thumb and index finger is bearing more weight, yes, thumb and index finger. All the 5 fingers are bearing the weight, speak about 5 fingers. If it's a little finger also you want to touch, find out that when you keep the little finger for Ardha Chandrasana down, if you pressurize that little finger down, where the Ardha Chandrasana goes, where the center of the gravity shifts, where the balance comes, and if you move, does the thumb and index finger more, the balance from where it comes. Because now you don't know, isn't it? Now just, if you have interest, find out. Now do Ardha Chandrasana on the right side, you put your thumb and index finger down, just do that, wherever you have place. Go to the pose. And balance comes from where you find out. Thumb and index finger down, pressurize it. You notice the balance there? Find out your balance. And now come down. Now we are going to, as you keep it cup shape, now we are going to put even little finger down. Little finger is already touching, but from thumb and index finger, shift your body weight to the, from thumb to the, no, not to lift the other fingers. You are putting the thumb and index finger down. But even the little finger also you pressurize. Little finger also you pressurize now. And you know where the balance is shifting? Can you tell me that? Huh? You went to the back body. You understand? So this, now how this changes you will know. Because you may say all the 5 fingers down, you may say the palm down, you pressurize everything. But for them it will be difficult to understand. Because now thumb and index finger work with the front body and little finger work with the back body. And there is a vast difference between the front body and back body. It's quite a big distance for inside. Not thumb and index, the little finger, they are very close. But trunk, as far as the trunk is concerned, from front body to the back body, there is a vast distance inside. Because our body shifts from front to the back. So if I am there, I will say for beginner, pressurize thumb and index finger, they get better balance. It doesn't mean lift the little finger up. But moment you make them conscious about thumb and index finger, they will pressurize there more and they get better balance. Then one day you may say that, because what happens when you pressurize thumb and index finger, head will come forward after a while, after a few days. Because they will work on this only. It works from the biceps. But when you make the little finger to go down, then it comes to the back of the hand. Then you need to extend the triceps more. The lazy triceps need to be extended completely. And when you extend that, the body shifts to the back. And there they may lose the balance because they haven't trained the back body in that way. The muscles of the back body has not been trained in that manner. And that's why then, today in the forward bend, if you remember, concave back every time I said. Because in forward bends, you are likely to make your back, posterior back completely loose. Though the Paschimottanasana is from the back of the body, many times you do Paschimottanasana forgetting the back. You understand? The back is completely forgotten. You just bend down. But anterior body preparation is correct because you can see that anteriorly. To come from the back body takes long time. And that's why you find often people have this curvature of the back. It doesn't go down. The spine remains like this in Paschimottanasana. You need to tell them how the spinal muscles have to move. And today, this morning, when you did Urdhvahasta or Utthita, Paschimottanasana, etc., in that Padangushta Paschimottanasana, etc., that was the reason behind it. And these are the things you have to know in the practicing process, that what changes occur. Now, as I said that I don't know whether we will be able to cover the whole the whole list of the asanas that is given here, because as I said, 1 week is not enough. Similarly, to cover these asanas, I don't think even 1 month will be, because if you have to learn in this with this kind of process. But today what I am talking to you is this, that you have to now mentally begin to think over while practicing, so that you apply that intelligence when you are practicing, whether we cover here or not. Now, the asana like Shirshasana, okay? Now here I come to the point, because often I have seen those who come to this class from upstairs doing Shirshasana. How sometimes you try to protect yourself and protect them. Let me point out at these faulty things which happens. Now, you give the Shirshasana against the wall, because it is said that you teach them against the wall, isn't it? Now, when you make them to do Shirshasana against the wall, often it has happened that they completely remain stuck to the wall. You think that they are safe by if we put them against the wall in Shirshasana. But when you do, why it has been said to do Shirshasana against the wall? One is alignment of the spine is correct, because otherwise they may protrude their stomach, they may protrude their thighs. The main weakness, you have to find out where it happens. This is how the way of looking should be. Now, I haven't taught for the beginners for a long time there, but in Shirshasana what happens? If you take them, one thing is that the abdomen comes forward in order to have the balance in Shirshasana. The back of the thighs shrink and front of the thighs come forward, and the body in Shirshasana, suppose this is the head, these are the legs sideways they are showing, then abdomen comes and thigh area comes like this, forward. The legs get thrown back. Now, if this has to be stopped, it is not just the thighs back and abdomen in, which will be a wrong expression. It is true that thighs have come forward, abdomen has come forward, but merely if you say take your thighs back, take your abdomen back, it will be a wrong instruction, because one cannot take the thighs and the abdomen back unless the spine is properly lengthened and strengthened. You understand? So when you are making them Shirshasana, the steps are quite right. You ask them to interlock the fingers, ask them to put the forearms downwards, and that's why actually Shirshasana has been introduced here in month of September. Somewhere in the middle of September you are supposed to begin the Shirshasana. If 1 or 2 classes goes with the holidays, etc., are still not prepared in some of the asanas, I can understand that margin. From September it may get postponed to the October, but certainly not in January and February, which is a very short period for them to understand that what's happening. This is what the senior teachers I am telling. And junior teachers, what they are, I mean those who are going to be teachers, would be teachers, they have to know this part very clearly about Shirshasana. You are explaining them just first, at the first stage, interlocking of the fingers, keeping the hands down, a proper tripod of the hands, the triangular shape of the hand, pressurizing the forearms downwards, making the forearm firm there and not sleepy, either out or inward locked. Both ways it is wrong. It has to be straight. So it balances both the radius and ulna on each other, and then the finger shape, it should not be in. The fear complex makes them to hold it inside, tighten. So you have to see that, yes, that is corrected there. The crown of the head down, the back of the head touching the inner palms. All this has to be clear there as far as the head is concerned. So one day you may just teach them interlocking of the fingers, tripod of the hands, and yet the crown of the head may not come. But you have got a great chance there to tell them that hands like this and lift the shoulders up. They are looking down with the crown of the head, which I have taken here. That they may not keep their crown of the head down, but upper arm lifting the shoulders up. That means this is again has to undergo that change. From dharma avastha to some lakshana avastha, a change to take the shape for Shirshasana. From lakshana avastha is completely at the end. Because actual state of arm or the forearm in Shirshasana, what has to occur will be perhaps the last ending there. But it has to undergo the change. And this, if it has to undergo the change, all these explanations are required. And then the next step comes keeping the crown of the head down. So then again the crown, by the time you tell them about the crown, it takes time. They may come on the front forehead, they may go on the back of the head, and they may not come exactly the center which has to be kept. And this you have to observe. Their face has to be seen by you very clearly, that the face is not hiding because they are on the frontal forehead. Or it should not be towards the back of the head where the chin and the lower portion of the face will go back. Again you have to watch whether they have relaxed their eyes, relaxed their ears, or they are tensing themselves. So half of the tension you have to take out there only. Next step is with raising of the knees, where when they raise the knees, again they are likely to come on the forehead. So the avastha changed, the state changed. Because moment you raise the knees upward, the body weight comes on the forehead. So you need to redo that to show that this is not the way, this is the way. So you have to collect the mistakes of theirs in your mind. In your mind, you have to first collect what he is doing, what she is doing, why these people are doing this way. It's not just to say, oh, he is coming on the forehead, oh, he is coming on the back of the head. You have to first collect all these things in watching process. And then when you are explaining to them, you have to say, look, this is the way you did. Some of you are keeping this way, some of you are keeping that way. This is the part which has to be kept down, and there you have to be very clear. Do you understand what I said? So this is your study. So one eye on them to see that what they did. They are not, everyone, all those who come to you will be all the time on the front of the head. Some of them will be back on the back of the head. Now while back of the head, when I say, you have to clarify that. What is the position of the cervical? Because suppose if you expand to this at a stage, your cervical has to be like this, your crown of the head has to be like this, they are not going to learn anything. They don't remember so many points at a stage. You may just once show that, look, I keep this way, my crown of the head is down, my arms are like that, my shoulders are like that, fine. Then find out what they are doing. And there you have to collect their mistakes, that what is happening. But these are all the things likely to happen. Their neck may go back. If they are coming on the forehead, the neck may come too much inside. Their dorsal spine may go back. They may have the round shape of their back. Then you need to tell them that don't keep the dorsal spine round shape. So you need to practice that, how the dorsal spine has to come in, how you lift that area, and these details has to be known. Especially when you are teaching the beginners. Always teaching the beginners is a big challenge, always remember, and Guruji has often said that. The trained bodies you can just teach. There half of the thinking process is over for you, because they know. If at all, then you have to give something extra there. You have to really think about that, how they will catch. The class, you find many times gets slowed down when something has to be informed. You understand? Because then explanation has to be very clear there, because it's not the technical part for them. But if it's a beginner's class, then you have to deal with all these things very clearly. Then what I noticed is that when they go to the Shirshasana against the wall, their back trunk is leaning towards the wall. And literally we have to bring them up to take them out from that fear. Now this is the main point. Write down on your notebook, with the fear complex, they take their chest in. And they make their dorsal spine more convex, going backward. I mean convex in that sense, because for us when it comes into the body it is concave, when it goes out that is convex, because it is coming out there for our eyes. You understand? So you have to see that their spine, dorsal spine, goes deeper and deeper into the body when you are lifting. And that is the common mistake which is happening. I see them when they come to this class. What has happened, when you put them against the wall, you think that whole of the body will touch the wall straight away, which doesn't touch. And now, while touching the heels to the wall, you may not take their back or buttocks too much away from the wall. But how you have to know, how you have to measure is that whether they are standing on their head with the strength of the spine or not. If they are too much forward, then they are likely to fall, because suppose if this is the specs like this, you see, now this is protruding. You understand forward. Suppose if this keeps on protruding forward, they are going to fall, because this will reach the floor. This if you think of this Shirshasana. So they have to know that this portion, how it goes back. But when it goes back, it doesn't mean that buttocks have to be dull, or dorsal and lumbar spine has to be dropped. Because suppose if this goes like this, then it is the other way specs I am holding now, it will get dropped. So you have to see that this space, if this is the spine and this is the frontal body, you need to know that how much the spine has to go in to support this frontal body. And that's why you need to practice. If you just balance yourself in Shirshasana, you won't learn. Go against the wall, put the heels against the wall and find out how much the spine and needs to come inside, how much the buttocks need to come inside. And there, if you allow them just to move more and more forward, they go wrong. And if you make them to be on the safer side, to the wall, then also you are wrong, because then you are, by pushing their thigh region and buttock region to the wall, you are actually making their spine to get dropped. You are inviting all the problems there. Neck problem, shoulder problem, they are going to complain about that. And that's why I am explaining you right now only, that you need to take this care. Many times what happens, you help in full arm balance also, the palms are closer there to the wall, and you just make them full arm balance and you just press the thighs to the wall. They are dead there. Moment you press the thighs to the wall, there is a dead weight of their legs on their spine. What will they do? You think you are holding, but they will be coming down. You are not holding, you are pressing them. Because when you stand also, you are not that much to the wall. When you stand just like that, back of the trunk, posterior trunk is not completely touching the wall. There are certain areas, like if you have to open the chest, your dorsal will not be touching the wall. If your lumbar lengthens, it may go nearer the wall, but it doesn't touch the wall. And you are pushing them back so much that you don't know where to give the balance. So these are the things you have to understand. You understand? In making, when these actions, separate actions are given there, you are supposed to study them. It's not just sort of as it is mentioned here. It is the guide. It is actually, we brought it out, a guide for the teachers, just to know. But it's quite a big study, that how you have to work with that. Steps are given is fine, but with those steps you have to work a lot. You understand? You have to work a lot and you have to go with each step. For example, Ardha Shirshasana, interlocked fingers, crown of the head down, buttocks up and legs straight. Person cannot stand too long as a beginner. You also will not be there on the head for too long. Your body will say, go to Shirshasana either or come down. You understand? Because keeping the toes downward and making the spine erect is not an easy job. But you are supposed to train them because they have to understand. They have to strengthen their spine in that manner. Their muscles also will not work if you omit that step. That step is very essential for them to have the muscular strength. If nothing, at least the muscular strength. To move the spine is further. To move the spine into the body is the further action. And that's why you are supposed to see that these things you perform on your own. If you just say, come on, 1 minute, stay there. No. If you say that to be in Shirshasana and bring the heels down in light and yoga, what Guruji has done, it's still worse than just raising the heels upward, because it's a very difficult pose. What Guruji has given with the heels down is a very difficult posture there, which normally you don't study and you just want them to do, when the spine hasn't gone up. You are making them to do at the cost of that spine just to get the physical action outside, because heels can come down but the spine will drop. You understand? So when you see light and yoga, now look through those eyes, perhaps you will understand now still further, because you all understand. Yes, Guruji is top, you will say. Now he is not waiting for that kind of praise from you now, but what he has done, you will know that how difficult those things are to do and to develop those stages to work. Now next thing in Shirshasana, as against the wall I said, similarly once in a while you have to see that you make them to do in the center, giving them support, because it comes in the process of teaching. It's not doing. They are not going to do Shirshasana independently in the center. Don't expect that. But how will you give them the feel of Shirshasana? You put them against the wall. They don't know how the spine works. So how will you exactly make them to feel Shirshasana the way you do in the center? You stand on your crown of the head, isn't it? In the middle. So how are they going to understand that what you really feel? So that's why you have to make them to do, you have to support them from their dorsal spine, how to lift, how to hold you have to learn how you hold their thighs, how you make them to lift, so that they get the feel of Shirshasana. So if you correct them in the center, the Shirshasana, they do against the wall better. One step down, but that step comes better because you have already showed them the advanced stage. You understand? So you need to put that much effort. Now similarly, when they are doing halasana, because I'm speaking about this, because here everyone is failing really. Inversions, when you can teach standing poses, you can teach forward bend, you can teach back bendings. But when it comes to the topsy-turvy postures, you are not able to handle them properly. And I will say this about everyone. Those who have been trained and those who are doing is fine. Because when you are teaching suppose in the mixed class in that manner where already they have been trained, it is fine. Because they have been trained already. But a beginner when you take, you are supposed to watch all these things. Now what I have noticed is, you make them to do halasana. It has been said that halasana, you can put their feet upstairs on that threshold, isn't it? Now when they put the foot on the threshold or even against the wall, doesn't matter, suppose these walls are empty and the rope side walls are empty. Now Arogya Yoga has already given that keep the bottom of the feet touching the wall halfway. You understand? And many a time they are just keen to go down and dropping the spine. That means you haven't noticed that part, that if they are able to take the feet down, whether their spine remains up. In all the inversions, we are supposed to train their spine to a great extent. It's not just balancing. To my knowledge, when they come downstairs from this, I feel that they must be trained at least about their spine, how to lift the spine upward. Now how you have to train that, I will tell you. Because tomorrow while teaching process, I cannot go because it's not a conducting of the class. There you are explaining and I have to see what you explain. You understand? Now those are in the dress. Now sit in Dandasana, Padangushta Paschimottanasana, hold the toes in and raise the spine upward. Now here you learnt, isn't it? This morning, extend the sides of the trunk. Isn't it? This is not concave back when you do. Extend the sides of the trunk. Now how you had to do extension of the sides of the trunk? Do you remember lifting that? How you have to move this forward? I showed the stoop on the back, dullness on his back. Do you remember that? So those dullness have to be taken off. If you haven't done this, you are not going to make them to do Shirshasana properly. That means now it came with the concave back extension of the side trunk, isn't it? Now Urdhva-hasta, just sit straight and extend the sides of the trunk. Do you understand the side ribs, side chest, how it goes? This morning you have learnt all those things. Now this is one of the poses you can give. Similarly, now Adho Mukha Svanasana. Just stand up, put your palms down, walk back with your feet. There itself. And now find out the sides of the trunk. Now when you pressurize the palms, what kind of lift comes on the sides of the trunk? Now if you have got a stoop over there at the back, if dorsal spine is going out, how are you going to teach them Shirshasana? Isn't it? Side trunk, side chest, find out whether it goes right over the buttocks. What kind of lift comes over there, observe. What length you get there, observe. Now stand up. Tadasana, Urdhva-hastasana. Find out what kind of length comes there. Do you understand that spinal extension differs there every time? Now if this is happening, then is it not our duty to see that while teaching Shirshasana we take all this into account? I have said that once in a while give time for Shirshasana. You may finish your Setuban, sit down. You may take the break, ask them to do Setuban Sarvangasana, today's class is finished. But in that what you have added, you added Dandasana. You did Urdhva-hasta Dandasana, Padangushta Paschimottanasana. You did Urdhva-hastasana, stretching the arms. You may need concave back. You may do even Padangushtasana, holding the toes concave back. You know, these kind of asanas you can definitely introduce over there to say that how the extension of the spine comes. And with that, now this is your practice, this is your homework. You have to practice, in order to teach Shirshasana to them, you need to practice these asanas with sequence, alternately changing. That you stand in Urdhva-hastasana, stretch the sides of the trunk, go to Shirshasana. You do Dandasana, Urdhva-hastasana, go to Shirshasana. Then you do holding the toes, concave back, go to Shirshasana. So every time where the freedom of the body you get, observe, which you can inform them when they are doing. Did you understand? Even the neck. Now this neck, when they are, let us say, they are just watching you. You are showing them interlocking of the fingers, how to keep the hand down. You explain them thoroughly everything. Now they have to go to Shirshasana. Did I not said this morning that the body is not charged? Now you stand in Tadasana and charge your body when you were observing the others on the platform. That means your body became dull, isn't it? When you are observing someone. So is it not for them also happens that their body also becomes dull? And that dull body, you are straight away asking them to interlock and keep it down. How will it come? And that's why the class has to be going in a running process. In a running process to see that everything is covered there in that manner. Don't make them dull, I said. Don't make them to wait just. You explain them immediately. So you may show interlocking of the fingers. In that interlocking you can take Baddhangulasana. So they get the interlocking, they get change of the interlocking, they get the extension of the sides of the trunk, they do Urdhva-hastasana, and then they go to interlocking of the fingers. Then there is one leg lifting, right leg, left leg, one by one lifting. So like an exercise, sometimes you have to make them lift the right, lift the left, the fear complex goes. But if you don't break their fear complex, and when they come here, if they just completely drop, how is going to work? And that's why a lot of work as for the teachers on the same book. It cannot be written there. But now, when you ask them to lift the right leg up, first they physically just lift the right leg up, isn't it? Can you just, one of you do? Any person? Yeah. Do it. Do. Take the blanket. Now, when physically they do, they are like this. Now raise this leg upward and they remain stuck over there. Now he goes up because the fear complex has gone. Do they go? They always keep that with the fear complex stuck over there. Their mind is there. So, oh, I'm near the floor. So in case I fall, I'm there. They safeguard themselves. Now it is your duty to see that how you train them. Now raise the right leg up. Now when you raise upward, now how he has to train, first the foot is here, you ask them. So this is one action over today. So today like an exercise, take that down and take this up, isn't it? That means today only that much they do. But here the spine is already suffering. They don't know that it is suffering, but they are safeguarding themselves. Now suppose if you take this much today, that means in today's lesson, if this is the thing which is added, now you are supposed to see that their back, if it is dropped, you have to immediately change it to the asana in which the spine, their neck is safeguarded. Come down. You be here only. You understand what I said? That means you have taught only that much, because they can't lift the leg upward, they are afraid of it. Then what next duty of yours is to remove that spinal pressure, because their leg hasn't gone up, they haven't touched their spine at all. You didn't touch your spine at all, isn't it? And this is what exactly happens when today you were explaining Dandasana, you did not touch your spine and you were just explaining. This is what exactly will happen in Shirshasana. The spine is not touched at all and you are just explaining. You may just say lift, 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 but it doesn't give any lift. Now in that case, your duty is to see that you remove that pain either by Urdhvastasana, Baddhangulasana, Bharadwajasana, Adhomukha Svanasana. So the spine which has become dull gets some life. Concave Prasarita Padottanasana, Urdhva Mukha, that means putting the hands down and raising the head upward, isn't it? All those concavities, so that they get understanding there and you are not putting them into the pain. Because days together you will be doing like that and you will not be observing why the spine hasn't got the life. Now when he has to go for the next, now this exercise type to remove the fear complex is over, they have done lifting the leg. Now when he has to lift, now he says walk in with the feet, keep the toes, and now while raising upward, now first he lift this leg, since it's closer to me. Now lift this leg. Now where he is caught over here. So what he has to train the student is, now lift this front of the thigh upward. As it goes upward, this has to, because he will be touching the wall. Pose will be taught against the wall. So back is to the wall. So he has to teach them how to bring this leg, foot inside and leg is extended that way. That means this extension, inner edge going to the groin and frontal thigh ascending upward. This has to synchronize. You understand? And this has to be taught. If you don't teach them, they are not going to learn anything. Then you are teaching them by supporting this leg. Suppose if a teacher has to help, you say, come on, I will hold you, I will be putting this back and this leg will be following. So they have to learn putting this leg up and that leg following. So you have to hold and give them confidence there. And then same leg you are holding, you bring that leg down. So step by step it comes. Now you are holding there, of course you are standing there and you bring that leg down. You understand? That means they get some confidence over there. Now suppose if he goes to the wall, touch the wall there at the back. Go to the wall now, up Shirshasana. You are in Shirshasana. There, now take your chest back. Go to the, this is what they do. This is what everyone is doing. At least those who come to my class, I have seen that from upstairs, they are all doing like that. Nobody is lifting, and I have to really shout in the class, and first shout of mine like that, they feel just nervous at that moment. And that is what the back ribs and back chest has to now lift. How you come? Come forward, and extend now, see? So spine has to come in that manner. This is the difference which I have seen when you are teaching upstairs and when they come down. And that's why there is nervousness, and if it is too late to start like month of January, it will be too late for them to learn anything. And you need to start somewhere in September and October. Before that, those asanas at least you have to cover to see that they will be going through that to reach the Shishasana. Now, the program as it is given for the first, let us say, first two weeks, it is first, even if I deal only with that much part, perhaps you will understand. Samasthiti, Tadasana, interlocking the fingers, that is Baddhangulasana, then Vrikshasana, Utthita Trikonasana, Virabhadrasana 2, Parshvakonasana, Parshvottanasana, keeping the hands on the sides and trunk on the knee. You understand? Keeping the hands on the sides with the arm down. Prasahita Padottanasana with concave back and palms on the floor. Sarvangasana, Halasana. Show them twice and make them. Then Paschimottanasana, and then come, see here Paschimottanasana. Now how this is linked, you understand. Paschimottanasana and Shavasana. Read that. Now, when you go to first 2 weeks program, there is Utthita Trikonasana, Virabhadrasana 2 and Parshvakonasana, which is already structurally adjusting for your Trikonasana or Halasana, etc. You understand? Structurally adjusting the body. That means, when you know that now we are going to start with the Halasana, you have to ask them in Trikonasana, Virabhadrasana 2 to keep their shoulders rolling back, shoulder blades going in. That means first you have explained to them from front of the body. This Guruji has already said 2 weeks program, you extend to the 4 weeks program. Has it not been said? So it is there. That suppose if the group is very sharp and doing it, it's okay for 2 weeks, because who has got which kind of, some classes have got with aged people, there it will be slow. But there are some youngsters coming to the class, that they will be quick, so you have to know this. Now, suppose if they have to be taught Halasana at this stage, not the first week, second week, perhaps even third week, sometimes you may be touching the Halasana. But when you come to Utthita Trikonasana, Virabhadrasana 2 and Parshvakonasana, in these all the postures, you need to make them aware. The day you are going to introduce them Halasana, because you decide that it's the 3rd week today or 4th week today, I am supposed to teach them Halasana. So once if you know that, you have to be with it. Now, in my book, I have included all these things, but every time I have said that for Utthita Trikonasana, how you do Utthita Hastapadasana, Parshvahastapadasana, Tadasana, Urdhva Hastasana, all these things have come. Because there is a background for all these asanas. You understand in this book. To go for interlocking fingers also, first Urdhva Hastasana has been explained, and then go to Baddhanguli, interlocking of the fingers. Because then clavicles and shoulders should not get contraction as it happened to him. You understand? You remember your clavicles in forward bend, so this can happen to them also. That's why interlocking of the fingers, before interlocking of the fingers, Urdhva Hastasana, palms facing front, palms facing each other, all these things have been given. So structurally you adjust that body in those asanas. So if that much is done there, then coming to the Parshvottanasana, we are doing there bending action, concave back, bending action. You understand? Not the palms on the back, but palms down on the sides. Now see how you have to link. You may just expand Parshvottanasana, palms on the sides of the foot, and ask them to make the back concave, and ask them to take the head down. But now your attention is on Halasana. You know that today you are going to take Halasana. Suppose if they keep the palms on the sides of the foot very close to the foot, then this is going to shrink again. If it's going to shrink again, it's not going to create this space for Halasana. Because in Halasana you need this space and this space broad. They are going to be on that point. If they are going to be on that point, you need vast space. That means your preparation there earlier, that you are going to introduce, so therefore this has to be broadened. So all your attention is on this area, on this area. Earlier your attention was on different, because you have to teach all those palms, fingers, knuckles, thumb. Today as you did, your thumb turning this way, thumb turning this way, turning out, all these things were there, isn't it? Somebody keeping the palms like that, let loose and kind of thing, which you have to first make them aware of all those things, and then you are putting them in the position. All those faulty actions, loose actions, lazy actions, all has to be eradicated first. When you do that, then you are coming to this. When you are coming to, this is how you have to study now the syllabus, you understand? Don't just see that what in this week has been said. You have to study the syllabus in this manner. That what is the asana given, what we do there, why this asana is introduced before that, why that asana is introduced after that, all this will make a sense if you begin to study. Now, in Parshvottanasana, keep the hands down, so you get space in the shoulder clavicles, you get concavity of the back, the neck is curved with concavity, neck going inside, that removes the neck pain. Again your head is down, that means you are getting introduced to the inversions. Head downward, so inverted posture, people get feeling there, yes, the head can be down in that manner. Then Prasarita Padottanasana is a main there, concave back. That means you are strengthening the spine. Concave back, all the concavity in the forward bend, standing forward bend extension, you find spine concavity is strengthening the spine. And then you are going to Sarvangasana, Halasana. In that also, I have already mentioned, Halasana is the first, Sarvangasana is later. Because here only the names have been given. Names have been given because this is what Guruji says cover. But sequence has been maintained. So first begin with the Halasana and later you are going for Sarvangasana. Now from Prasarita Padottanasana, if you have to go to Halasana, you are going to show them. You say, look how I am lying down, how I measure the distance, how I lie down, and now how I go up, how I put my foot upward, how I am lifting my spine, where my hands are, how I am supporting my back, how I give a lift. So your expression of lifting of the spine, lifting of the sides of the trunk has to be very much clear. They have to feel that you are lifting up. You got the point? Now they are watching you. When they are watching you, their body is again dull. So what you have to pick up? You have to pick up immediately, yes. Now all of you first do Prasarita Padottanasana. You may take it 2 times, 3 times. You may take Urdhva Hastasana. So stretch the sides of the trunk so that they get the elongation, vertical elongation of the trunk, sides of the trunk. That makes the sense now how much important is the sides of the trunk. If you drop the sides of the trunk, you are not able to lift. And that is what Hatha Yoga Pradipika says, Ida and Pingala. The very subtle form of that Nadi, Ida and Pingala, might be hiding towards the spine. But before you stimulate that spine, the outer body has to be stimulated. You understand? So you are making them to do Prasarita Padottanasana, Urdhva Hastasana, extension, etc. Not only that, in Tadasana, leg straight, knee straight, etc. makes them to work. Makes them to work on the spine. And then you are going to put them in Halasana. You may show them, look, you are going to bend the leg, I will put you up in this position. That is fine. So you may need to help everyone. Those who are married youngsters, they will go to the pose straight away. But those who can't, you may need to lift them up and put the feet there. But you have to show them that this is the spinal work. This is the trunk, work on the trunk. And you need that much of patience to teach them because they are absolute newcomers. If I don't have a patience here, there is a different reason for it. Actually, you have to ask me to be out, and some junior teachers have to come forward having this patience with others. You understand? To teach from scratch. As Guruji said yesterday, it is like that. To come back to that stage is very difficult because how long you can go on explaining the same thing. But for you, I am explaining this. That you just mindfully do it, that you lift them as far as the sides of the trunk are concerned. Now, when you come to this second week, because I have told these people to put it on this thing, which perhaps I may do division later to find out, or you can study that. Actually you have to provide this kind of, like we do any project work. What I wanted is that one side the list of the asanas, then weeks of the week, like first week, month wise, let us say first month, second month, third month, whatever it comes to 8.5 months somewhere. So each month which are the new asanas we are introducing. So it's like a calendar ready. Moment you know this is the second month, you know, at least you have got in your mind, now this time now you are supposed to add these asanas. So the background for that asana is ready in your mind to say that now I am supposed to take this. You understand? My attention has to be on the spine, or my attention has to be on the back or on the legs, etc. So name of the asanas, name the months, 1, 2, 3, 4 months, and then you know that which asana you are picking up according to this, which is very easy for you to do, and if you give it, they can put it immediately on the computer. It doesn't take a long time. But now when you come here, let us say second 2 weeks, he says, if not, then after 1 month you are doing Samasthiti, the second this thing category. Tadasan, interlocking of the fingers, Baddhangulyasan. This has to be changed there, Baddhangulyasan, not to write interlocking of the fingers. Then Vrikshasan, with foot on the thighs, that means you are learning balance. Utthita Trikonasana, Virabhadrasana 2, Virabhadrasana 1, mind yourself there is Virabhadrasana 1 here. Utkatasana, Parshvakonasana, Parshvottanasana, keeping the hands on the back and bend forwards. Then Uttanasana, folding the arms. Okay, up to here when it has come, let us say they come to Halasana and Sarvangasana. First Halasana, then Sarvangasana, because they are going to learn Sarvangasana from Halasana. You got the point? Now here you see that the addition of the standing poses is making them further firm to go to Sarvangasana. That means now how are you going to teach Sarvangasana? Suppose the manpower is less there, you have just one teacher to teach, you are making them 2 weeks or 3 weeks of Halasana, or even 4 weeks of Halasana. Even if you decide yourself, June they haven't touched inversion, July they are doing Halasana, August somewhere they are going to do Sarvangasana. So by the September you are definitely asking them to at least interlock the fingers for Shirshasana. You understood? The margin, even if that much you give. And I said from September, if not at least October, you have to touch. That means in your mind it has to be rotating there to see that what you are supposed to teach. Now in this manner, when you come here, you will know that Parshvottanasana, concave back, Uttanasana, extension, all will bring the spinal strength in such a manner that they are able to do Sarvangasana. Otherwise, because this is the problem with, specifically with the Indians, perhaps you don't find that much problem there, because often they have work like that, except hefty bodies. If at all, the heavy bodies, when they come in your foreign countries, then it is difficult. But otherwise, spine wise, you find they are quite stronger in that way. But we need to strengthen the spine in this manner. Now, when it comes to the third week, this is still giving you a proper understanding there. That means third 2 weeks, in which if you go to the standing poses, look, Tadasana, Vrikshasana, Utthita Trikonasana, Virabhadrasana 1, Virabhadrasana 2, Parshvakonasana, Ardha Chandrasana, Parshvottanasana, Prasayita Padottanasana, Utkatasana, Adhomukha Svanasana and Padangushtasana. You understand? All those were concave back, extensions, all this is adding for Sarvangasana in order to do it still further better.